Call the meeting to order. It's 6 p.m. and you've got the agenda before you. Is there any additions or deletions?
I need to add to new business, yes. The addition to the request and removal of the spire from St. Thomas Church.
That would be under heritage.
They're under heritage, yeah.
Yeah, it's not under heritage.
Well,
Yeah, that's where you would put that.
okay.
Yeah, it would be heritage advisory committee.
Which one is it? I'm trying to find it.
FullCouncil.
Rob Ross.
Is there anything else to be added to the agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. At this time, we're going to pause to seek guidance. Right now, I'm going to read the mission statement for the municipality: to provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs while preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. The next thing on the agenda is presentations, and the first presenter today is Brenda LeGrandeur from Connect program from REN. So the floor is yours. So. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Is that okay? Thank you very much for having me this evening. As the warden stated, my name is Brenda LeGrandeur, and I work for the Western Regional Enterprise Network. I've only started working there this year in the month of April. If you want to go to the next slide. I'm going to give you a little bit about my background and my story, and it does have relevance to the program that I am delivering. I'm originally from Pubnico and worked for the municipality of Argyll for 8 years. Prior to that, I had worked in the credit union system for about 10 years. 2.5 years ago, my husband got an opportunity for a job in Ontario. So we decided that we were packing it up and heading to Ontario. So once he went to work on Monday morning, he had, 50 new friends, and somebody offered to take him fishing on Saturday, and I got the house ready. And after that was done, I thought, well, now I'll start looking for work. And I did, and even though I had a lot of different experiences, I either wasn't seeing things relevant to what I was trained in posted, or I was applying and not hearing anything back. So I was feeling a little homesick. So I picked up the phone and I called the CAO of the municipality of Strathroy, where we moved. And of course, when CAOs hear their newest residents on the phone, they automatically think maybe something's wrong. So I assured him that I just wanted to come in and have a chat with him because I had worked for a municipality. So he said he had about 15 minutes for me. So I went in and we talked for about an hour and a half. And it was just basically a swapping of stories and what they did there and what we had done home. And it was a really great, fun conversation, and I felt like I was back in the loop again. And at the end of the conversation, he said to me, there's somebody that you really should meet. And he picked up the phone and he called, who I didn't know, but I came to know that it was the executive director of the CFDC. CBDC are here in Nova Scotia, but in Ontario, CFDCs. And her office was 8 minutes from our home. So we went in to see her on his recommendation, and we had another similar great chat, lovely lady. And at the end of the conversation, she said, I'm posting a job next week, and I want you to apply. And I applied, and I got the job. So for my story's purpose, would I have gotten that job if I hadn't had those connections? Makes it sound really great if I say, I don't think so, because I had applied for a lot of jobs. But basically, that's the essence of what this program is all about. So the Halifax Partnership started the Connector program in 2009. They started it strictly for immigrants who were coming to the city, skilled immigrants. This program is for anybody who had training beyond post-secondary. Can be university, can be community college, can be something as specific as cosmetology, private training, truck driver training. So what was happening is immigrants were coming to Halifax with these skills, going through a similar situation that I was, basically either weren't seeing the jobs posted or were applying and not getting anywhere, but at the same time employers were saying, wow, we have a lot of skilled positions that we're not finding the right people for. So somewhere there was a disconnect. So there's a disconnect sometimes for a couple of different reasons. One of those reasons is that the jobs aren't posted, and that happens often, that there are some jobs that just never make it online, where somebody who is looking in the traditional way of today is going to see them, or that people are applying and either maybe their certifications weren't transferable, maybe all their experience was in another country or another province, all the references, nobody recognized any of the names on those resumes. The other was that so they weren't seeing them, or they were applying and they just didn't have the connection there. So what the Halifax Partnership did was they started this program. The essence of the program is basically a connection is made where people can talk face to face. So I meet with people who are living in our region, who are work ready. So if they are an immigrant or somebody from somewhere else, they have to be legally able to work in our province. Their language skills have to be at a certain level. But in addition to immigrants, I work with all newcomers to the area, whether they moved here from Annapolis Royal or they moved here from Calgary. I work with recent grads who basically had no work experience, so they're looking to make those first connections to get their foot in the door. I'm working with boomerangers, who are those people who are from here, have moved away. Often they've moved away with a particular skill set and have gotten additional training while they're away, and then are coming back home for a new job that they're newly trained for, and people tend to think of them as the position they were before they left. Starting in this fall, we are actually starting to work with people who are going to be graduating in 2018. So again, to those what were the recent grads that I was working with, I'm getting to them before they graduate, so they can start that process of meeting the people that are in the industry they hope to be in, to ask those questions and kind of get their name out there, that they're interested in staying in our region. Funny not. So, what I wanted to say as well was that the Halifax Partnership started that project. It's now delivered, the Connector program is delivered all across Canada. It's delivered in some states. It's delivered in Sweden. It's the exact same program. We are a pilot project, and we were the first rural community that this is being tried in. The Halifax Partnership, the Cape Breton Partnership is also doing the same pilot as we are. It's a one-year pilot. And that's why we were able to shift things a bit. We're not doing the program exactly as the Halifax Partnership did. But what I'm finding when I'm speaking to employers in our region is that this is the way they like to find their employees. People like to know, I'm from Pubnico, so people want to know, who am I, not just who my parents were, who my grandparents were, and who my aunts and uncles. Everybody, that's the normal thing that people do around here, to try to figure out who's who. So basically this slide is, it's not what you know, it's often who you know as well. So that's basically the premise of this program. And for somebody who's new to the area, who doesn't know the industry, who doesn't know anybody, it's a real big challenge to try to find that right connector. So my job is to help them find the connector and to help you all to find Waldo. That's where that little arrow is. So how does it work? It's really simple. One of those people will reach out to me or get referred to me. I work with the employment centers. I work with the why reach a counselor who works with new immigrants that are coming in. I have actually had an article published in the municipal newsletter, so people are getting to me that way. I meet with them. I make sure that they do qualify for the program based on all those credentials. And then we talk about where they hopefully want to land. Some people will say, boy, if I had an opportunity to sit in front of Jimmy McAlpine, that's who I would really like to talk to. That makes my job super easy. I then call Jimmy and we have a conversation, and I set that up. Most of the time it's people who, if they don't know the area, have skills in a particular field, and I try to find the right connector for them. The right connector is not necessarily somebody who has a job to offer at the time. It's somebody who knows their industry well. It's that person that whenever you go anywhere with them, 10 people have to stop and talk to them because they know everybody and they're very comfortable in giving the information. What the process is then that I do an e-introduction between the two people, include the resume of the person that I'm trying to connect. They meet informally, half an hour, a cup of coffee. And at the end of the meeting, the only ask of the connector, it's a one-time meeting and that's it, is that they offer the names of 3 people that they know that they feel that that person should get to know. And if anybody is of a certain age, as I am, you remember that Fabergé commercial that it was, I told 2 friends and they told 2 friends. Well, that's basically it. You meet the first tier, your first connector, you meet those next 3 people. Those 3 people, you ask them the same question, if they can refer 3 other people. And that's how you start growing your network when you don't have those contacts initially. So the goal of our program, because it's a pilot, is that we get 50 connectees and 50 connectors. I was really, really fortunate in that when I got to my desk, when I started my job, I already had a list of people who had volunteered to be connectors. I know that it's really important for most employers, most people, to make sure that we keep skilled people in our rural areas. So we had a lot of people that had stepped up. I have not yet gone to anybody who has said, no, I don't think I want to do this. People are really, really coming out of the woodwork for the connectors. But what I'm saying is I think I could have gotten the 50 connectors within a week. But let's say there were 50 accountants who came forward, and I met a welder. They didn't have a lot. So what I'm doing is I'm finding the connectees, and then I go looking for the right connectors for them. So I'm basically doing the match one by one. We already have 21 connectees who are signed up into the program. Happy to report that one person has already gotten a job and is working since then, and 2 others had interviews last week, and these were for 3 non-posted positions, just based on those conversations. So how can you help? Why am I here? I'm here so that you know about the program and that you refer any of the people in your communities who you feel might need this help. My office is in Tuscott, but my office is mostly in my car. I spent the afternoon in one lady's home here in Weymouth for about an hour. So basically, I'll go wherever the connectee needs to meet. I also connect them where they send me. We operate, of course, the Western Regional Enterprise Network from the municipality of Barrington to the municipality of Digby. So my initial connections are always made with business leaders or employers within that region. So if I meet somebody from Woods Harbor who wants to work in Digby, the connection is made in Digby regardless of the fact that they live in a different municipal unit. So that's wherever they want to be connected. So I would like you to refer as well as consider to become a connector. You know your communities probably better than anybody around here. You know the employers. I'm very fortunate to work with Victoria Brooks, who I know worked here before. Evan Nemeth is also another colleague. They know the community better than I do, but they probably still don't know it as well as all of you do. So when I do have people who ask me for connections in your district, I'd like to be able to reach out and get your recommendations as to who you think I could approach to be the connector for the connectees. And that's everything. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Questions?
You just go to the website if you want and take a, I know it's me. I don't mind being connected.
Perfect.
I think you're doing an awesome job. I've been looking at some things that are going on. I didn't quite understand what, but.
Yes.
But you thought it was something for me.
Perfect.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And do you have anything?
Thank you very much. I'm hoping it goes beyond pilot stage. And what I'll do is I'll send an email out. I'll contact Pat and see if I can get either an email sent to her that she'll forward to you or get your email addresses and put the offer in. And then if anybody is interested, I'll just sign you up that way.
Any other questions? I think it's a great pilot, and hopefully it does take off. And because, like you said, there were 3 jobs there that were not even posted, and it is very hard for young people and new people to the area to make those connections and know who to talk to. So,
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to present yourself on paper and have people really get what you can offer. And I tell that to young people all the time as well. So,
No, that's great. So yes, just send the email and
I will.
and then we can get back to you.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you can stay and listen to like the council.
At this time, we're going to have our second presentation, and I'm going to ask for Mary Thompson to come forward. Nina, are you coming up too?
He's coming up.
Okay. Well, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. The reason we're here is just a couple pieces. We want to just kind of update everyone in terms of what we're doing at the Digby site for NSCC. I'm sure I don't have to remind people around this table why it's important. The other thing is we want to let you know how we can help in terms of particularly around economic development pieces, some of the things that we have to offer. And then we are going to be launching October the 5th, our public foundation campaign. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. It's a campaign to be able to support our students coming back or coming to post-secondary education. Our mission is quite simply to build the economy of Nova Scotia through quality of life, education, and innovation. And we live in a world right now where sometimes people are very used to plug and play. And one way to fix something and that kind of thing. And one of the things that we try to build into our programming is opportunities for students to problem solve. Here's a problem, how do we solve it? And there's not always one solution. One of the things that we're working on at our Digby site here is creating some makerspace as well, so that in addition to regular programming, we will have a center that people can come in, our students, our staff, and our community can come into. If you have an idea, you want to develop a prototype, there'll be 3D printers and things like that. But an opportunity to be able to really play. You know, sometimes we forget that word, and people think, oh, that's silly. But sometimes great ideas come out of being able to just try something. So that's something we want to bring. As a principal, I'm responsible for the Digby site, the Yarmouth site, and the Shelburne site. So I'm well-traveled. In fact, my staff laugh to make sure I'm on the right road at the right day. Yeah. And many of you know Nina, and I'm very, very fortunate to have Nina here because she is the person who really is the essence of the Digby site. I will say that. Some of the things that we do within the college, learning is really at the core of what we do, and whether it be a core program, whether it be with our staff, we have programs for our staff. For example, I have a young lady who works in Yarmouth. She and her daughter both graduated last year from NSCC. She did her business diploma while she was working. So her oldest daughter graduated, and she walked across the stage as well. So one of the things that we're able to do for our staff is to be able to provide that opportunity for staff to be able to upgrade their education as well, at really no cost to them. We try to prepare people for the workplace. So for us, it's really important to make sure that we're delivering relevant programming. Now, we can't deliver in every community, every course that NSCC offers. But one of the things that we try to do is really look at what are the needs of an area and how can we do that. So we'll talk in a minute about the types of programming that we can offer. We also blend not just our education in the classroom, but with the service learning. And last year we were very lucky to have a province called Difference Dollars. Labor and Advanced Education provided some funding that students could apply for and do community projects. And our community project here was a community garden. And it was a great opportunity for students to, if you want, go that next step. And service learning is more than just volunteering. It's taking what I've learned in my program and now how do I put it into place. Our CCA students will often do service learning programs in some of the long-term care facilities that they work in. Something that, 10, 15 years ago probably wasn't as important, but 2/3 of the projected job openings from 2011 to 2020 need a minimum college or university education. And so gone are the days when somebody, particularly somebody who leaves school early, are going to be able to often find meaningful work. One of the programs that's under my portfolio is the School of Fisheries, based out of Shelburne. And what we're seeing is in the fisheries, for those people that are looking to get their captain's papers and that grade 12 is really critical. So one of the things that we're able to do, in addition to our post-secondary programs, is we're able to provide opportunities for our adults to be able to complete their adult high school. And the diploma that they get is a real high school diploma, a GED, not to put it down, but it doesn't have the same weight as what a high school diploma does. So our core programming, and the core programming are those programs that operate with core tuition, and they're subsidized programs with the funding. Students pay, depending on the program, about $3,200 a year. We have programs in 3 academic schools. Our School of Access, which is where our adult learning program is. So students can come in, and at the Digby site, and we're partnered at our site, we work in conjunction. We have DALA as a community partner, and the Digby Area Learning Association does level 3 programming, and we provide level 4. And so where the adult high school used to do some of those programs, we've now taken over all of those programs. So a student can come to us and take their grade 12 and get those necessary courses for them to go on in different fields. They can also do it online. Through NSCC, out of my Shelburne campus, we sponsor an online adult learning program. So if I'm an adult and I'm working and I really can't afford to go back to school, but I need some credits, I can online, either part-time or full-time, take my high school credential. We also have a program through the School of Health and Human Services, which is our continuing care program. And I don't think any one of us would disagree that that is a program. The students come in the door and they virtually have jobs. There's such a need in our community, and it's been a program that we've been operating first through a customized model and then through our core programming for over about 12 years in this area. We also have our School of Business, and right now our numbers at Digby, we have about 50 full-time students out of our Digby site. And which is really quite an accomplishment for a small community place. We offer the business diploma, and many of those students come in. Some courses are online, but many of those courses are done in a collaborative classroom. I'm sitting here, the instructor might be in Yarmouth, and they're teaching back and forth. We also have our office administration program. So those are some of the core pieces that we offer. The other types of programming options that we can offer, you can move that up, is through continuing education and customized learning. And those are ones that are really exciting. And that's part of the way we can help you in terms of if there is an industry coming to the area and they say, you know what, we need this type of training, or we've got an industry where we've got people with this skill but we need to upgrade. Those are some of the things that we can help with. We can provide continuing education. In the past, practical nurses, when they went to renew their license by 2014, had to take a healthy assessment program as well as their medication course. We did that through continuing education so that they could upgrade, because the last thing we want is to lose anybody in the hospital or the medical field. general interest courses, credit courses. We also do custom learning, and that's kind of our industry-specific piece. One of the things that we've done for a lot of the municipal units across, certainly across Nova Scotia, but across the Southwest, is safety training. Oftentimes, things like fall arrest, ladder safety, all those pieces that come under the Department of Labor, and some of those upgraded skills are some of the training that we can do for specific employers. So we have 3 types of programming. Those core programs, that would be what you might find in a calendar. Continuing education, it's based on what the community needs, and then a custom learning program that can really be tailored to what you want. Web.com, which is a large employer in the Yarmouth area. When they first came to the Yarmouth area a number of years ago, we did all their new hire training. We trained their first 160 folks. When a couple years ago, when some brand new nursing homes opened up across the province and there was a need, we trained an additional across the Nova Scotia 600 CCAs to be able to meet those home needs. So we have that ability. We also have the ability, because we're one college with several different sites. If I know that there's a need here and there's a program that's going on in Marconi or in the Strait, I can pull in some of that expertise as well. So there's opportunities for us to do that. Our piece in this, because we think community in our name is really important, it's how can we build those community relationships to be able to be part of your team when you're recruiting industry, you're working with employers. I've done many presentations with groups when, it's kind of like show and tell, isn't it? When a company comes to the area and is looking at what you might have to offer. And so when you're putting a presentation together, we can be part of that presentation so that from a training part, a company can see just the scope of what you have to offer. As I said earlier, we're working on creating some incubation type maker space as well, so that we get an opportunity for people to be able to really have that play piece. We want to be part of that community. The next slide here, 91% of our Nova Scotia community college graduates live and work in Nova Scotia.
My favorite slide.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this is that many of them are working here, but they're doing business all over the world. And more, as we have opportunities to do electronic work, a lot of people are working and living here, and they're, the biggest thing is you have to be able to look at what the time zones are so that you're doing business in those times. But for us, that's really exciting, because we're keeping people here. And we often have, every time I run a competition, I get people, and many of them are local, but many of them have been local and wanting to come back to the area, which is exciting. So that brings us to one of the other reasons we're here. One of the things that we're working on, and we had the opportunity a couple months ago to meet with Jimmy and Ben to talk a little bit about this. NSCC, through our foundation, looked at how can we best support students. It's expensive to go to post-secondary education. And many of our students are students that come from families where this is their first time into post-secondary education. $3,200 may not seem like a lot, but when you've got to pay tuition and keep a roof over your head and all those other pieces, it can be prohibitive. So our Community College Foundation set out to develop bursaries and scholarships for our students. And those bursaries and scholarships are not necessarily based on who has the best grades, which many of our entrance awards from high school are. These are based on things that community services, leadership, and need. So we've got awards in a variety of different areas. So, and I'm really proud to say that our Burridge Digby site, we were the first people out of the gate. We were asked to be the pilot to launch our community campaign. Provincially, the Nova Scotia Community College Foundation has been working quietly behind the scenes to raise funds, and Rob Sobey is the provincial chair. Karen Churchill from Web.com is our local chair. Right now, provincially, the college has raised $22 million that all goes to student aid and bursaries. And we've been asked as campus and community sites to raise funds in our area So our target for Burridge and Digby is $350,000, and I'm very happy to tell you that without going public, we're at $170,000+. So it's been really nice, and I never thought I would be a fundraiser, but this is really quite neat. Some of the monies that we're raising, it all goes to students. Our foundation is supported through the college, so no administration dollars. If you raise $100, it goes to the students. And so it goes for bursaries, scholarships. We have something called urgent aid, and our urgent aid can be everything from a $50 gas card to help a student get back and forth to school, to a $500 because I need to have my power on. Last year we had a student who, in November, was going to drop out. She really was struggling, really bright student, and didn't want to come forward. Finally, one of our maintenance staff kind of found her in the hall crying and said, like, kind of what's going on, because this is usually an upbeat student. And she sat down with him and said, I've had to move my kids into my parents' house. I'm living in an apartment with no heat and no lights, and I just don't think I can do this school thing anymore. So he brought her forward to our manager of administration services. We got her connected. We were able to get funds from our foundation to pay her power bill, get her water back on. She completed the program and now works for the District Health Authority, making good money and able to support her kids. That's just one story. You know, I've had students that have come to me and said, how long can I leave my car in the parking lot? And I'm going, okay, car's not working. No, was going to try to live out the last month of her school year out of her car because she ran out of rent money. So for us, this is really personal, because if you can provide that dollars, and sometimes it's $500 or $1,000. So we're really excited about this. And one of the reasons that we wanted to come is you'll all get an invitation. They should be going out tomorrow. October the 5th, we're doing our community launch. And we're hosting a breakfast here in Digby. And we would like people to be a part, because we're so excited about what we do. And the money that we raise for this stays in our community. And for us to be able to support our students is really critical to us.
What time is the launch?
It will be 8:15, and there will be there'll be an invitation coming out. It'll be 8:15 to 9:30. Yeah, somebody said we could do breakfast later. I said, no, that doesn't work. But for us, it's really exciting because it's about being able to hear. We'll have a student that's speaking just to let you know firsthand about her experience as well. But for us, this is really personal, because one of the neatest things that I get to do is at the end of each year is be on stage with our president when our students come across the stage. And, you know, there are some students that you go, okay, you just know they're going to make it. And there's others that you know how they've struggled. And when you see them walk across the stage and you know that, and it's usually not huge amounts of dollars, have been able to get them there. And the impact that they have in our community is absolutely huge. So our Make Way campaign, we started in March. Right now, we're about almost halfway for our goal between Yarmouth and Digby, so we're really excited. Our public launch is the 5th of October, and from a college, you may have heard last week, the Sobeys Foundation gave the college $6.5 million, which is the largest ever. Yeah. Boy, go Sobeys! Sorry. But, you know, but for us, what's really exciting is part of the investment was directly to students. The other part of that investment was to support our culinary programs. We've had other people. We have one donor who mental health is an important component for their family. They've supported a bursary that is targeted to a specific program, and so part of this is people can really put their money where they want to see it happen. But for us, it really is about helping the students. So again, that 91% of those students that graduate staying in Nova Scotia, if we're going to grow our communities, it's really important that we grow them with a skilled labor force. And Brenda, we were very lucky because we've had Brenda come and speak to our staff at our opening staff meeting about the Connector program. And we gave out last year at graduation Brenda's cards so that our students could connect. It's all connected, but you know, we're all doing the same things. We want to bring industry, and we want to have a skilled labor force. We want to do that. We want to grow our communities, and that's part of what our mandate is. And about a year ago, we did some branding work, and Strive really speaks to what we want to do. We're really pushing ourselves, pushing our students, pushing our faculty, pushing our staff to really go that step outside our comfort zone and really look at ways that we can build our province. So, any questions? Please come and have breakfast on us.
George?
How many students go through Dallas and down SEC because they're right there and they see what you offer and it's not home to them?
I don't have the exact
No, but I
numbers,
know it varies from year to year.
but I think that for most students, if they've invested into the GALA programs, level 1, 2, or 3, it's a natural progression. I have to say that some of our level 4 students actually have a really hard time leaving Joy's to the level 3 instructors classroom, so we work together with them. I would suspect that it's probably at least 70 to 75% of your students go into ours. Right now, I think our numbers this year for ALP is approximately 17. Last year it was 24, I believe. And this year, and then we also have a really great, I don't want to take too much time, but for ALP students, they also can test out some of our programs. So we have a student, and actually, I believe you may know this young lady. She was an ALP student. She didn't know what she wanted to do for post-secondary, so you're able to take as an elective in the ALP4 program a course out of one of our programs. So she was able to take one out of the Office Administration program, figured out that was a good fit. She was given that credit in the ALP program, but she then also was able to transfer that credit back into the OA program. So then she graduated. She's now employed.
Other questions? Well, I'm looking forward to getting the official invite for the breakfast, and I think this is a great program, and like when you talked to myself and Ben about this, I knew right then that it was going to be, it's well needed for the area, and it's also one I think you're going to get community buy-in for. So, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I could just really quickly add, anybody who hasn't been on our site, please feel free to stop by and we'll give you the tour.
Oh, a bookstore. Yes, I thought, when I was in, I thought the NSCC, encouraging. Oh, yeah? And I see a couple of people, and the first thing to go from NSCC too.
And at our breakfast, we'll be doing a couple draws of stuff from the
Yeah. We've got new, actually, I will be in Salem, so. Guess I can be there.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Salem, Mass.
Family reunion. It's going to be. The ancestors.
Right on.
They're dead.
Well, you know what? Mine are too.
Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes for July the 24th. All in favor? Aye. Business arising from the minutes. There's nothing here on the agenda. Does anybody have anything you want to bring up from the minutes? Hearing none. We'll move to new business. The TIR 3-year cost share agreement. I'm waiting for Linda to come back from the coffee.
I'm bringing it. I'll look after that. You come.
We have a resolution that's required for the 3-year cost share agreement for subdivision streets, as the other one expires on March 31st, 2018. And we've got copies here that it will be expiring on March the 31st, 2018, and they've attached 2 copies of the new 3-year agreement to be entered into with the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal in order to continue this program. So we have to submit these, they were supposed to be submitted by September the 15th in order to,
Yes, when I received the letter, I called right away and explained to them our schedule. She said that was no problem.
I thought I was getting that one.
So the motion is that if the board and the CAO be authorized to sign the 3-year cost share agreement on subdivision street.
I'll second it.
moved by Linda, seconded by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Now you have to sign the papers.
Right in a second?
Yeah. You can get Linda and David to sign.
Oh, we have, no.
They have to
I
witness.
follow what they want.
They have to witness them.
They don't have to win. I know they can just pass
Oh, okay.
Aye.
Well, it says here, moved by, sign here, and seconded by, sign here.
Oh,
Yeah,
So,
I think that's just a sticker that was used.
Yeah, that was just a sticker.
it's the resolution of council that we have to do, that they have to sign.
Yep.
That's the way I understand that.
it kind of does look like that, now you mention it.
Isn't that the way you read that, Jeff? It says moved by, and use the signature, and
I
seconded
think
by.
the sticker still got moved because, yeah, no, I'm the only one that signs that one.
Okay.
Right, you know what you're doing.
You just have to list the name of the people that moved it and seconded it? Or they don't have to sign it?
I've never seen that they would have to sign it before. I think those are just the stickers, and I think they just have them.
Okay. Well, you'll find out when you go to submit it. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the airport privatization. This letter came in asking about, from the National Airlines Council of Canada. And I feel that before we could make a motion on this, we should really get some more information. It'd be nice to know, like, if Stanfield International Airport is private or if it's government owned, or what the operation is. I don't know. They have a board of directors. I don't know how it operates.
I don't know.
I don't know what the impacts are. What's council's feelings?
My concern is that it is government, the person holding, because we know properly, consumer, everything goes back up. And of course, it's falling, even though we're in a civil airport, we're probably coming.
They're not looking at our airports.
No, but I'm
The
just
big
saying,
ones.
it's a follow after, always a follow after. Yes, they are talking about, you are talking about Stanfield, you are talking about the one in other cities,
Well, they listed here Toronto and Montreal and
Those ones are
Vancouver.
already privatized. Moncton's already privatized. Some of the big ones.
I recently read, I think it was New York Times, about a lot of major problems that came with privatization. Like literally, they haven't thrown a nickel into upgrading it. You have 40-year-old airports charging through the nose that haven't had work on infrastructure or anything along those lines, and longer lines and more airport fees. There's a lot of criticism towards the process. It was quite a while ago, and it's, yeah. They said it made it a lot less enjoyable, the whole traveling.
I'm not opposed to a resolution, but I'd like to get some more information, like especially with our international airports in Nova Scotia, to see how the impact is for them. If that's all right.
Fine with me, I just don't, I want Transport Canada and the government to be looking after our airports.
Pardon?
Safety. I would want the federal government, Transport Canada, looking after our airports.
They're not now. If you go online and just do a search, and you can get educated on the issue, like at all sides of it. There are a lot of different sides to it, and there's some people are opposed and some people for it. Montreal Airport, for example, is for it, and then some of the others are not. So there is. One of the things that they indicated was a lot of these airports have 40-year leases with the government, but it's less now than 40 years. And so they can't borrow any money because they have a lease that's less than 40 years. Now they can renew it for another 20. The other thing that I did find out just doing a search is that
a lot of these not-for-profit organizations that run these big airports pay billions of dollars to the federal government in rent. So they're saying if they didn't have to pay that, a lot of those costs would go down. So it's not necessarily automatic that the costs would go up, but they're saying not having that big rent payment. So it's a two-sided issue. It's a big issue. So I would suggest, and I can find information to see what Halifax is feeling on this, but I think for you guys to make an informed decision, you should go online and just become familiar with the whole topic.
When I read this narrative,
Yeah, so
Canadian at all.
But it also, too, like, if the government was to privatize it, they would still be the regulatory body to make sure that, the safety standards don't erode and that quality, the quality's still there. I mean, just because they don't own the property anymore doesn't mean that it's not going to be run right, or that it can't be run at a level that the consumer could afford to still use it.
It was interesting too in some of the research is that a lot of the large unions, like the teachers unions or the Canada Pension Plan, they had money invested in the airports already.
Maybe so if it's all right, I'd like to see us table this until maybe the next council meeting, and between now and then we'll have more information provided to us.
Google around.
And we can research it better.
Yep.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the dash request to read Compass. I believe that was for land.
They're asking, can I speak to this a little bit? I was chatting with one of the ladies from Bethany Day, and she's on this board. They're aligning themselves to Compass because it's a charity, and that'll make it a little easier for them to raise money. Also, I believe under the MGA that as a charity rather than a nonprofit, that they could get land from, say, a municipal unit for less. For you can do that for a charity. Is that correct?
For any nonprofit or charity, we can sell for less than market value, but you still have to have like a public hearing on it.
Yeah,
you have to hold a public hearing because that way you're not giving it to one, not to another. So,
and also they want to meet with they want to bring the experts when they come down to meet with council, and I think that would be get a hold of them and find out when. That might be worth if we have a meeting that they can pop in and give a presentation or something like that. They were quite excited. The ladies from the nuns from the church there, they thought this was a real good news for Dash.
I personally feel that I would support their commitment from Dash itself, from the members of Dash. They've asked me to make sure that I put forward. David's just going to come forward now.
Sorry.
I think it's a great. No, David, it's great. It's a better benefit to the residents by going this way.
Yeah.
A lot of real smart ladies on that board too.
Yeah, I think we might.
There is a whole bunch of smart ladies, man. I listen to them.
So I think before we move anywhere on this, we ask them to come and do a presentation to council. That's okay?
They would love it.
Yeah.
All right. So we can ask that.
And whether it's council or committee of the whole, doesn't matter. I mean, they're asking us to come.
Come before council,
Yeah.
and we'll figure out when.
I forgot you're on that, Linda.
I'll read it.
Sorry.
The next thing on the agenda is the Town of Yarmouth request for support. And this is for, you got it up there? Radiation equipment to do the radiation treatments, so people don't have to travel to Halifax to receive the treatment, David?
The travel to Halifax is extremely expensive. That's one of the reasons we have all these benefits down there, because somebody will have to make 6-7 trips to the news or something, and they can't work anymore. I give out my vehicle at least once a month, maybe every 2 months, to somebody, for people with cancer, to drive to Halifax and drive back. Because, you know, they're driving an island vehicle. It's not going to go any much, you know, it doesn't go much further than an island vehicle. But jokes aside, it's ridiculous. Like, Yarmouth is far, far, far away from the island, let alone Halifax. So, you know, I'd rather see it in one of the empty spaces in our Digby, you know, but...
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. But Yarmouth is certainly a lot better, because you still at least have a better chance of having relatives up the Yarmouth Road in the city. I support it.
Okay.
I'm not against it, but again, when you look at the radiation, you also have to have the doctor's availability to do this. So it's all fine and dandy to say we'd like to have it, and I think we should say that we're in support of it. But you also have to understand that you do not have the proper people there to be able to do it. And I'm talking whether it is the trained staff or whether it is the doctors that are there, because everyone has to do their thing. It's not just you're talking a few years. I mean, yes, it's well worth it. And I'll be honest, to me, whether it is Kensal, Soshore, or Yarmouth, because they're your regionals, that would be my support, would be either the three regionals in the western end of the province, because it gives you a better chance of them looking more at Yarmouth because that's further away. But it gives you an opening, because those are three regionals, and they all have specialists at them.
If we made a motion to that effect, would it still be helpful for Yarmouth, or we include, or you could say Yarmouth or anywhere within the western, could you?
Well, the letter of request came from Yarmouth, and it came to put in establishment of a radiation unit at the Yarmouth Regional
I
Hospital.
know what it says,
But-
I'm just saying.
But like, also in Nova Scotia, like in Cape Breton, they have a radiation unit, I think, in
Yes, they
Sydney. And I think the feeling was if they had one in Sydney, they had one in Halifax, and if they had one in Yarmouth, it would cover the province better. And like if you're in Kensal or if you're in Bridgewater, you're only an hour from your...
But it's facility-wise,
I understand.
okay.
But I mean, I don't see any reason why we couldn't support this. It's not to say that it's going to happen, or we don't have
Well, I
any
have
say.
no problem supporting it, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just wanted everyone to understand, it's not something that's gonna happen tomorrow.
Oh,
we all know that.
But it's not just saying we want the radiation treatments, you're gonna have the personnel to go with it, is where my.
We'll have time to get those people.
Well,
When's the dialysis machine coming? I think they.
You could say in Yarmouth or anywhere.
I was for this. I mean, they could be.
I just stick
I don't want to
Yarmouth.
water it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I think we should support it. It's, even if it is 2 or 3 years coming, at least to get it on get it out there. And
Okay, can I ask for a motion?
So,
Do I have a seconder?
second,
Is there any other discussion on it? All in favor of
Aye.
a motion to write a letter of support? Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you. We're going to move now to the next item on new business, and it's the second annual fall face-off tournament for the Digby Clare Minor Hockey Association. They're looking to see if we would put an ad in their brochures that they're going to be passing out. We did last year.
That's what I want to know, how much was last year.
We did half a page.
We did half page last year, so it'd be
$250
$200.
last year, so this year it's
$200.
Well, I so move that we give to Digby Clare,
We purchased it.
for the post-tournament, a half-page ad of $200.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, thank you. We're going to move on now to the Chief Administrator's Officer's Report. Meeting reminders, I'll go over that first. October the 2nd at 5 p.m. we have bylaw and policy. October the 9th is Thanksgiving, so there's no meeting. October the 10th, on the Tuesday at 5 p.m. we're having committee of the whole. October the 16th at 5 p.m. we have bylaw and policy. October the 17th at 6 p.m. the Planning Advisory Committee meets. October the 23rd at 1 p.m. there's a Highway 101 Task Force meeting. October 23rd at 4:30 p.m., we have a meeting with the Village of Weymouth, and it's going to be held at the Weymouth Library Program Room. And on the right after that at 6 p.m., we're going to have our council meeting, and that'll be in the Weymouth Library Program Room. October 30th at 6 p.m. is to be confirmed, and I'm going to be talking to Warden LeBlanc to see about having a possible joint council meeting to do a presentation about our trip to China. Are you going to miss any meetings?
Well, no, but I wanted to bring forward
Yeah.
on October the 10th,
Yeah.
October the 10th,
Yeah.
we have our advisory committee meeting at 4 o'clock.
Advisory.
Just a minute, it says, no, it's
Remo.
advisory committee municipal office, so,
It's Remo.
Remo, thank you. So, my question is, I have no problem, I know we should have it, but should we, I'm asking, should we go to 5:30 for our,
Bruce is aware that we have committee of the whole at 5 o'clock, and he's comfortable having that meeting, and it's here, not at town office, so he's aware that he's under a tight agenda that night.
okay, because I was thinking about if we were meeting with him at 4, maybe we'd go to 5:30, give us a few minutes in between. That was all.
Do you think he's going to have a heavy agenda?
No, I don't believe.
So technically, that meeting could probably last only a half hour, 45 minutes.
Okay, well, no, that was
Yep.
why I was bringing
Yeah.
my concern up.
Yeah.
And the only other was, hold on a second. I was looking, there was a meeting scheduled through the UNSM, and I was waiting if I was leaving in October the 2nd. I'm trying to figure out what is the best thing. I'll see you after, and we'll look at it, make that decision together.
Okay. Okay. Decision, directions, request. What do we have in here? Update on capital projects. Are they almost done since close?
We're working on phase 2.
Yeah.
They made really good progress last week. They've got the connecting manhole and that system in, and they're, I think, in 3 manholes deep going up the road. By the end of this week, they'll be well over halfway. They're coming up on a trickier section this week, so things are going very well out there.
Good.
Rocking along.
Now the update on the corporate now priorities. We've got the rural internet. Hopefully we hear something back very soon on that. I mean, we are at the time of the year when we were hoping that some news would come out of Ottawa, but as soon as we find out, we'll be letting everybody know.
The end of summer was just the other day, so.
Well, I know.
Well, actually, the end,
The end of summer was just the other day, so it'll be fall.
will be around Christmas.
So that was the first one. The second one was the Haines Lake property plan. Open house was held on September the 23rd, yesterday.
Saturday.
Saturday. Next steps, are we going to have a public meeting to talk about what we want to do with that property?
So we held the open house on Saturday. So there's about 70 people turned out to that. So this is feeding 70, yeah, 75, yeah, no, really good turnout. So this was to gather some information. What we found out is we started through the Open Space Committee, that most people had never visited that site looking at it as a place to recreate. So this was kind of information gathering. The plan is, I think, late November, early December, to have what we would consider more of a consultation session, and it'll be to council after kind of open space in between then too, to talk about what we want to talk about for viable options with the short term and long term.
The next one is the Barton School property options, and we did receive a letter from the school board saying they're going to be turning the property over to us. And there's been a site visit held, and transfer is expected by the end of October. But I think there again, are we going to have a public meeting, or I think we're going to have a chat to decide on where do we go.
The council needs to.
Yeah, we need to.
I think there's interested person.
I got 3 calls last week, just.
Well, I forwarded your name.
Yeah, but I had 2 others besides that, and then I've had others, so there's lots of interest.
And anyone who's asked me, I've told them that the shoreline stays with us. And that but we wanted for public access. That was one of the things we
We got
said.
public access 10 feet away in Savory Park.
Eventually.
I think this just speaks to the in-depth discussion we need to have on the property and look at this from the open space and from that side of it, to make sure
Yeah, there's a lot of
what our
possibilities.
interests are and what council wants to do from
We've
there.
got a couple months before we have to, you know, we don't own it yet. So
No, sure.
How far is it from the back of the school to the beach there? How much, any idea how far
Not
that is?
specifically, I don't know.
No, but is it like 200 feet, 300 feet?
Oh no, you'd be 500 to 1,000 feet.
Because I've had somebody express interest too, so.
I thought we
Well,
were
there is
talking
interest out
before,
there. I
we
don't
said
think it's
that
gonna
we
be
were,
hard to.
that was the one thing we would be looking at, is that we kept
Oh, yeah.
the shoreline property for the public and sell the building and property or rent or whatever we decided to do.
Lots to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah, we have to look at the property and find out more.
That's the one thing that's the one big thing I've heard from everyone,
Yeah.
is wanting to make sure that shoreline stays with
People want it.
the people.
Yeah.
Be stuck with it.
Does anybody have access to the shore from that property now? Like, you know, I think it's quite a big bank, isn't it, right there?
There's a road thing, bridge going down to it there, and
Is there? On that piece of land?
Yeah, like I say, I think, I don't know, either further in the agenda or certainly at another meeting, but to talk about the open space committee has certainly talked about it from our point of view. But I think other conversations with council about what the options in front of council are for the property.
All right.
I like that idea. I'll wait till then.
All right, the next thing is, under our priorities with our meeting with the Village of Weymouth coming up, and to talk to them about shared areas of interest. And that's slated to come up in October. And the last with the Industrial Park Prospectus report, which is going to be due in November or December, so that's still being worked on. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the July 2017 payables of $993,746.
I so move that we pay the payables for July, in the amount of $993,746.
There's a seconder? All in favor?
Aye.
The next thing, can we have a motion for approval of the August 2017 payables of $628,198.97?
I so move the August payables of 2017 for the amount of $628,198.97.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. The next thing is the income and expense report for July and August. Everybody's had a chance to look at those. So, is there any questions? All right, now we're going to move on. We've had correspondence come in.
If I just may back up, one of the things, and I should have brought it up when we were looking at the meeting dates, I think I sent out the, regarding the Engage Nova Scotia workshop that they're having. I had a conversation with Jennifer DeCock. Anyway, I had sent out that, so just a reminder, if you're interested in going to that, it's still, they very much think it's valuable for the learning session of it for people to go.
Should we register, or did you already, like,
We didn't, each person registers, the
because
email
last
that I
meeting you
sent
asked
out
us who
sent
was
off.
interested? So I saw it, I didn't register because I thought,
Well, please register. The information is there on how to register. So you could take that email and then just, all you have to do is send an email, I think.
Starts at 5 o'clock and they're holding it in the open field.
Okay,
The meeting's at 2:30, and the reason they're having the meeting at 2:30 is because a lot of the counselors that they've talked to, a lot of people couldn't do their work. So this way it kind of split the difference, so.
okay, the next thing is correspondence, and the first thing was a letter coming from the District of Barrington regarding the process for adoption of resolutions. Last week, myself and the Deputy Warden attended a resolution session that UNSM put on down in Liverpool. And actually this letter was discussed at that time, and it was felt that it would be good if each council could provide their feedback on the priorities of each resolution, the 17 resolutions. So I know
It just came out to us today, to vote on it. I don't know how that will go, because it's, I personally think it's a wonderful idea, and you know what? I think it's something we should be doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I certainly have my feelings, I'm sure you had yours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's nice that we're doing it in a collective voice. I don't expect us all to agree, but
No. But I'd like to see it on our own policy and be able to put this on the agenda. You have room on that, don't you?
On October 2nd? Not really, but if it's important and you put time.
What's important is time sensitive to get it in
So
before.
these 17 resolutions are going to be discussed at this fall conference?
Yeah, well, yes, and we have to, what they want is each council to prioritize what they feel is going to be the top. They want you to rank all 17. And then they're going to take, and they want to take the top 5 and try to, and they're going to bring them forward at the fall conference. And that's where they'll ultimately vote. But they're trying to make it so that everybody's aware of what they are. And what the rationale behind doing it this way also is that not everybody has the time or the ability to attend the resolution meetings that they've had in the province. They're only having 3. And so it's not fair for 1 or 2 people to speak on behalf of the whole council when they haven't even had a chance to have the discussion on the resolutions beforehand.
Jimmy, couldn't we rank them ahead of time? Like, could they be sent to us? We could rank and just come to the meeting and just read out the numbers and add them up.
I
And
think that's a great idea.
Figure it
That's
out.
what it- yeah.
The top 5.
that's what you're being asked to vote on was, do we want that discussion? Do we want it to come in so we have a good idea? And then even at the meeting, when you have the resolutions at the UNSM, there's some concern that maybe we're doing it wrong, others, but I think if it doesn't do anything else, it gives you the informed things. I mean, I know me, from our meeting, there was only 9 at the Cape Breton meeting. There was 30 at least.
We had 38.
38 at our meeting, and then they are expecting quite a few again at the next meeting.
Yeah.
They have the numbers already booked in for about the same numbers that we have. But that's still a lot when you look around the
we're
whole
not all
province.
council.
No.
And this way, if your councils look at it,
Well, then
even if nothing else, you go to the meetings, you're saying, okay, we already are looking at this is the high priority. This is what we should be looking at.
I'd like for everybody to have a chance to look at the resolutions, read them, go through them.
Yeah,
But I still would like to rank them together, and I'll tell you why I say that.
One thing sent out to everybody, I sometimes forget, because I've seen them so much.
I don't know that they have been, no.
Oh, okay.
But see, the thing is, I feel that we need to discuss it after everybody's read them. Don't rank them yourself because you may not know enough information
That's what I was thinking.
behind each
We have a
resolution.
left field for them.
Where we could, Linda and I can bring more to the table in the discussion as to what the meaning of each resolution is, because we've been around council long enough that, and I've been involved on the board prior to Linda, so I've been dealing with a lot of this stuff in Halifax with the UNSM, so I've got a bit of education as I can provide more insight on each resolution.
Could take quite a while though to go through 17.
Not if you've
Discuss them and rank them.
Not if you've read them in advance.
If you've read them in advance and you have an understanding of what each resolution is, it won't take that long.
No, it really wouldn't.
Because, like,
17
I
items, I can't see them going through.
Because a couple of the items are really ranked together. There is a couple that we put together, remember? And yeah, it's to me quite
I don't think it'll take that long. I mean, we had a meeting down there with 38 people, and we went through them in a couple hours, and that was with having a lot of discussion on them in the room, like on some of them, not every one. Some of them, they would just breeze right through. And I think we can move through it quite quickly. It won't take that long. But I'm saying it's going to take a half hour to 40 minutes.
I was thinking 45.
I think everyone was sent a report. It's called UNSM Resolutions Interim Report, and I think the resolutions are there.
I was going to say, I know, I read them, but.
It was September 1st it was sent. And it's UNSM resolutions, but I think the resolutions are all there.
It's like some of them, it's really quick to go through and say, well, no, this doesn't warrant a resolution, and the reason why is this, and it won't take long to tell you that. So
affordable housing, you mean, that's one, and
well, there's library funding, senior safety programs, there was like CAP, agricultural land, forestry land.
building inspectors.
Yeah.
Now, Linda, will they
Okay,
send
those are
us
the ones.
a list of the top projects when we end up doing the call? So we have an idea.
They wanted us to rank all 17 and send it in.
Yeah, but they'll know prior to the meeting in November.
Oh, yeah.
What the top 5 is. I was asking.
I doubt if they won't send it out, we'll discuss it at our meeting.
They'll discuss it at the meeting. It'll be actually really good information for the
Remember, it hasn't
UNSM
been
board.
passed yet through the UNSM board, that's all I'm saying. We are doing an email vote, and I've only seen 2 votes. Mine was one of them. Now, because sometimes it takes a couple of days,
We don't want to get through it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's cool.
All good?
Yep.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda under correspondence with the Tri-County Regional School Board, and that was the letter about well, that's about turning the school over to us, which we just talked about. That's just the official letter.
So I did the site visit with Steve Stoddard. The school, we had thought that they may take the summer to clean the school out. That has not happened. So after this letter, they reached out and we had the site visit. We thought we were going to be visiting the cleaned out school, potentially getting keys. The school has not been cleaned out at all.
Really?
So October was about as he had hoped, maybe September, and after we finished our visit, he said October is probably about his best case. So the school, like bookshelves, desks, tables, everything you can imagine pretty much that the school was originally filled with. We had Alfred and Barry with me to take just an initial look through about any major concerns or anything like that. Most of the systems in the school have been updated where kids were there until obviously last spring. So yeah, he said he'd be in touch as we move forward.
So you can keep us updated as it moves forward then.
Yeah.
The next thing is a thank you letter from the Digby County Exhibition, and it's sent to us by Cody Giannetti, the president for the Digby County Exhibition. 137 years is a long time.
That's amazing.
You know. The next piece of correspondence was a thank you from Belleville Motors for the golf tournament. We were a whole sponsor in the tournament, and they raised $26,840.51 for the day, so that's great. Great fundraiser.
Yep.
The next piece of correspondence is a letter thanking the municipality for the support in the Doppler radar to be installed in the Yarmouth area.
We had sent off a letter. Yarmouth had asked for support. I was not very pleased with the response, personally.
Not many people got back to Yarmouth? Was that what you just said?
Well, no. What he's saying is, that's not really the place they have it.
They don't have one now. They're trying to get one.
That's what I mean. It's not one in Yarmouth.
A lot of the responses in the package.
That's why I'm saying he's going to forward it on, but.
I think he'll work thoroughly he'll put whatever pressure he can to get it to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to, but,
I'm hoping, but I'm still not real happy.
yeah.
As I said, over the next 7 years, they've got the sites picked out, replacing where they are.
15 additional radars to come too over 7 years, so maybe we'll get one of those.
Considering how dependent our economy is on weather, probably more than your typical, having knowledge of your typical economy, with all the fishermen going out there, it is a good argument.
You need that in the protection plan. Use that for another day.
Okay, the next thing is the Dash letter that came in, basically thanking us for consideration for funding requests regarding the housing needs assessment, and it's moving forward.
Yep.
The next thing on the agenda is going to be bylaw and policy recommendations. And the first one is to be moved the approval of the capital investment plans for year 2 to 5.
I so move that the 2 to 5 year capital investment plan be approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. The second resolution is to move that Partners for Climate Protection be approved.
I so move the resolution for Partners for Climate Protection be approved.
Seconded? Seconded by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. The third one is to move that the municipality of the District of Digby cover the housing costs for the 2 new doctors in the amount of $7,500, and that the funds are withdrawn from the doctor recruiting reserve.
I so move that the municipality cover the housing costs from September to October 31st for the 2 new doctors in the amount of $7,500, and that the funds are withdrawn from the doctor recruiting reserve.
Second by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Lastly, to approve the proposed amendment to the home computer purchase plan policy number 1009.
I so move that we approve the proposed amendment to the home computer purchase plan policy 1009.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, we're going to move now to the, there's no committee of the whole recommendation, so we're going to move to the advisory committee reports and updates. And the first one is going to be Councillor Ross, the Digby Source Water Protection Advisory Committee.
No
meeting. And the next one is Deputy Warden Gregory and Councillor Ross, the Heritage Advisory Committee.
We have the July minutes. At the last meeting, I had to be in Halifax, so Rob has asked Matthew to go over what was done, but it's the same.
Well,
maybe it's a little different, but I thought it was the same.
The last recommendation was the Heritage Advisory Committee finds that the spire has been included as a character-defining element for St. Thomas Church, Weymouth. It is recommended to Council that the spire may be removed. It should be preserved in the community and identified as a former significant architectural feature of the church. The new recommendation to Council that we changed is that the balcony and the railing on the tower of the church be preserved because they had been identified as character-defining elements.
That's what we discussed at that meeting, and I thought that's what we had said. We wanted the balcony and that tower to go with the spire because it would, be down on the ground. That's why I wasn't sure.
But what else has happened is the balcony and the railing, that's separate from the spire.
Yeah, but when we talked about it here, we talked about that being part of it. At council, that's all I'm saying, and that's what we had agreed to.
I'm just going through the minutes now from the last council. So council has to pass it in.
Yeah.
No, but that
We
would be-
did the last one, that's why I'm saying, I thought that was included when we discussed it. So, we have to look
Somebody
at.
just made a motion to go back to the Heritage Committee, let them.
No, they've had another meeting since.
Yeah.
So maybe they did, because I wasn't there at the last meeting. I couldn't do that.
I don't remember passing any resolution at council about church. The last thing I remember talking about was sending it back to the Heritage Committee.
That's what I wasn't thinking.
So in Well, it would have been July, see, it would have been probably prior to this coming to the Heritage Advisory. Just in July's council, just as Deputy Warden Gregory advised, there will be a meeting, recommendation will be coming to council that have worked on at the St. Thomas Church. Oh, I thought we had moved it. Okay,
I don't
I don't think anything is from the council.
Would you want to move that, please?
So, I motion that the spire has been included as a character defining element for St. Thomas Church Weymouth. And also, the railing on the tower and the balcony be preserved, as they are identified as character defining elements.
Do you have a second?
I'm seconding it.
Any other questions? Or, I mean, not question, but question.
Does that mean that they can take the tower and the railing down on the ground and preserve it down there?
What they want to do is they'll take the spire, they want to know they can take the spire, and we've checked this out. Bring the spire down, it has to stay somewhere in the community, or what they'd like to do, keep it on
Yeah, on the
location.
property.
And that's probably what they would do. They really, if anything, they'd like to keep it up there.
Yeah.
It's more of a costing what they're looking at, because if it's going to cost them a lot of money to look after this thing, it may be an idea to bring it down and preserve it on the ground and better look after that way.
Railing too?
Yes,
All together like that?
yes.
What they want to do is weather cap that
Oh, yeah.
and keep everything safe.
That would all be in one unit down on the ground, the railing.
Yes.
Wherever they're hoping it's going to be on the property.
Yeah.
But if they think it's safer somewhere else, they will move it to somewhere else. And, so that we give them what we're asking from the municipality is that permission for them to be able to do that.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you. Okay, anything else under the Heritage? Planning Advisory Committee, Deputy Warden Gregory, Councilors Ross and Tudor.
I'm going to meet in a couple of weeks.
We are having a meeting coming up. And at the last meeting, it was a lot of information discussing about our PAC, what we're planning to do. It was actually it was an excellent meeting. Very informative and I thought very helpful for the new members.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the PAC committee. As strange as that sounds, I'm David, the committee lover.
I'm glad you love it.
You like it? You get through the work. Straightforward.
You'll love it in about 10 years after you go through what we went through.
Oh yeah, you guys had a rougher ride with PAC than me, that's for sure.
Yeah, you haven't had to deal with anything yet.
Yeah, people yell at me all they want. They do.
Next is the Joint RTMP Advisory Board, Deputy Warden Gregory and Councilor Ross.
Okay, what we did at our last RCMP meeting, we had, of course, our reports from June, July, and August that were circulated. We have one person going to the NSCAG conference, and that is Alex Eldrigan. I didn't want to say his father's like also correct, and which we're really pleased that he is attending, because I'm at the recreation conference at the same time. We are also going to having presentations at our next meeting. All meetings are being taken place at the town hall. I have found the new people that have come on are very interested, very concerned, and several things were brought up from what they have been hearing in the community. I think the coastline helped with that as well. Anything you want to add?
Okay. Remo Advisory Committee. We haven't had a meeting, it's coming up. Western Regional Housing Authority, Andrea Steed. I was talking to Andrea today, there was a September report. She's got a couple more meetings coming up. She said the first meeting was basically, didn't have anything to do with the local area, so it was mainly pro-germ the discussions on what they were talking about, the topics, but anyway, she seems to, at least they're meeting. We're getting reports.
Very well, fresh out there.
Andrea is an excellent, yeah.
Should be a good
That's a
advocate.
teacher in her.
Should be pushing up there, that's what you want.
Next one is the age-friendly community. There hasn't been a meeting. The next is the Atlantic Mayor's Congress. There hasn't been a meeting. Digby Area Affordable and Supportive Housing Group, Deputy Warden Gregory.
We saw the July meeting notes and the needs assessment news, and then we brought forward about conference tonight. There will be an upcoming meeting.
Okay. Digby Area Board of Trade, Council 2.
We met day before yesterday. We went over the new website, the new logo. There's a lot of concern about the upcoming tax changes from the Liberal government. A local accountant was there and gave us the spiel, and it also provided a template letter for any concerned businesses to forward it to Colin Fraser. So yeah, it was not a terribly large crowd though. You know, it's still in the tour season a bit. It's still kind of busy, I think.
Is there any talk about tourism and where we are and how people are doing?
They said that there wasn't any, hardly any, I don't think there was any tourist business representatives, and they usually are always at those. It's because they're so busy. So that's definitely a plus. I can speak to the island. The whale watches have been full. The July rooms were up 20% lodge. They're now putting off the fall pricing to October rather than the 1st of September, 1st of October. There's so many people reserving. And I think down in my area, of course, I'm going to be a little bit down that way. I think the whole idea that the fall is the time to go whale watching is starting to pay dividends after about 10, 15 years of them pushing it. I feel like people starting to become gradually well known. If you want to see something wild, September is a good time to go for the whales.
Okay. Any questions? Digby Annapolis Development Committee, there's been no meeting. Digby Area Learning Association, Council Manza.
No meetings on summer. One this Wednesday coming.
Okay. Digby Area Recreation Commission, Deputy Warden Gregory and Councilor Ross.
Okay, we didn't have our meeting in the summer because there was a lack of quorum. From then, we actually had a lot of things happening. We have purchased some green equipment, gym equipment, it's good stuff. Anyway, it was a fantastic buy on it, and we will be using it. The soccer fields were well maintained this year, and our pool, because of the solar heating, was maintained at 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and sometimes went up to over 80. Which is probably a good thing, but because the temperature was over 80, we had to use double the chemicals, because once over 80, it costs more. But you also have to look at the people. We had, for the first time this year, kayak camp at Thames Lake, and some of the learning experiences were happening, but it was well done. There has been the painting has begun on the building, Jimmy.
Was there a red strip for the Montreal Canadiens?
I don't think so. And our manager went to a planning meeting with Engage Nova Scotia, and he was very pleased over that. We had to make some repairs to the manhole in the parking lot, and the lines will repainted. And so we took it to stuff. Now this is what happened this year. We had Learning Grove Child Center attending daily, and the preschoolers were using the waiting pool, but we had them at 3 different times, which really upped our numbers, and kids liked it, we liked it, you know. Our active living coordinator is planning our fall and winter program. There's been meetings arranged with the Tri-County Regional School Board and the Department of Communities, Culture, and Heritage to clarify the amount of funding each will put into the program.
The manager has done all the staff evaluations on staff, and we're getting ready to be doing managers. But, what's that but? The last time we did things, we had our deputy CAO give some help, and we were wondering, CAO, if that would be the same, if we can get the deputy CAO help the same as we did it last time. Meaning, looking up a couple things for us and not attending any meetings.
We use the AMA salary report to provide them with some information
Yeah,
on the ranges.
that's fine. Oh, I got my face for that.
Yep.
As you said, our manager went to the open house at Paynes Lake, which he was glad to have attended. The municipality and the town have applied for letters of authority for the abandoned rail line. We also wanted to say that the spring and the summer business expo was really well done. The Lobster Bash kitchen party was busy. The maintenance is going on, fixing up the Victoria Street skate park, which has been really pleased. The Recycle a Bike program that we started this year, we had 15 bikes to get recycled, and these children that received them were super, super happy. And on on August the 26th, for the first time, we got a big screen. They had an open bar and a barbecue, and this was put on by Lobster Bash, and it was for the MMA fights, which I don't have a clue about, McGregor versus Mayweather, which again, I have no clue. So, they had 160 attend. Oh yeah, that would be, I'm sorry I missed that. The ice plant inspection has already been done. I think I pretty well covered. Our day camp went well. The Scallop Day Fun Run had 137 participants in the pouring rain. And a 2K option was done this year, and that attracted 20 new people. We had the Youth of Olympic Sports Camp, Leadership and Adventure Camp. We also, the policy, we had just been in the policy to use with a corporate credit card. Like I said, fall programming is coming. Anything have I forgotten?
I think we're looking at maybe, Jay was saying October 1st, or the first time we put in the ice for both sides.
Oh, yeah.
And,
At the
and
same
the rain.
time. Try to make it.
So we'll make up the whole sewer too. And it's going to be cost effective for us to get everything going at once.
That's way better.
And then, of course, the conferences this week. It happens to be in Sydney, and anyway, some of us are flying and some of us are driving.
Flying.
Well, apparently there was a seat sale on, and Bob just seemed able to see it, for $294, you're flying up and back.
And all that?
Yeah,
Where?
to Sydney, 51 minutes.
Yeah, but once you get there, you don't have a vehicle.
Yeah, but I'll have
That's
one
right.
because
What I
I'm
did.
not driving. When we checked for me to go on, it was $268 one way, $349 to come back plus the taxes. This is taxes in. It was that Canada Wide sale they had on for a few days. So, yeah, but several are now flying in there.
Okay.
I wasn't that lucky.
45 minutes, 45 minutes.
All right, any questions? If not, we're going to move on. Digby Community Nova Scotia Health Authority Stakeholder Group. The last meeting we had, there was only myself and Ben and Gordon attended with the two people from the Health Authority, so we didn't have a good turnout of people at that meeting. But there's still, and I think we've had this discussion anyway, how we've been trying to get the Health Authority to recognize the fact that the government wants the ability for single practitioners to be able to set up. And I received a letter from Gordon. I was CC'd a letter that he is sent off to Dr. Kerrigan. On behalf of the residents of the Weymouth area, I'm writing to ask for your direction regarding the provision of a sole family practice doctor at the Weymouth Clinic. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it goes on to say that you ask that this be addressed at the earliest opportunity. He also states that I do understand there have been several statements from the Premier and Minister of Health affirming this direction. What has not been clearly stated both internally within the NSHA and externally by the NSHA is a clear process. So he's asking for that process to be clarified.
I get the same letter from him.
Yeah, you got it because you're the chair of the committee.
My thing is, we're still not having a meeting, because we still haven't got that response back.
Yeah, we've had some problems with the health authority.
Anyway, also the other thing that's happened is that there was a meeting in Digby with the Minister of Health that I attended, and he had people from Weymouth and Bear River Clinic and the Health Foundation, and the warden from Clare and myself, the mayor from the town. And it was a good opportunity to talk to the minister, expressing to him what our concerns are for this area. It was made very, very clear to him about what's going on and the issues that we've had to deal with for Weymouth. And after that meeting was over, I know that Gordon and the minister went to the hospital to meet with the health authority. So I don't know the gist of that meeting, but at least they've been talking to them. So
he still lowered himself and talked to the Minister of Health.
when I know more, I'll let you know. We do have our 2 doctors, or 3 doctors, working in Digby right now. So that's a positive. That's a positive.
Yeah, it is.
For a while, anyway.
Once in a while.
Digby Development Agency.
Mr. Digby Area Tourism.
Oh, sorry. Go back to that one then.
We haven't had a meeting in August. The September one got pushed ahead to October, but they did have a July meeting. And they got a new member from the Bear River First Nations now on with data, Marlene Jodry has joined the group. And there was, again, concerns raised about the Airbnb, and I think we've got a letter from Greg about that, but there was concern about that. Thank you for the funding for help with the funding for the visitor information person on the Fundy Road. They want to thank us for that. And they ran short of, or they were running short of their Digby area guides, and they didn't get any more printed because they figured it was too costly and more extra for next year. So they were itself. That's it.
Okay. Okay, now we'll go down to the DDA. I don't know if you've seen signage up or not, but we've got some signage up in the area now promoting our lands. And my sister kind of balled me out on one of them, saying, well, what are you doing putting that there for sale? That land's not for sale. So it was parked on piece of land in Conway there.
Yeah, I saw that.
And thought, well, I said, if you read the sign, you'd understand what it says. And it's 3 kilometers and with an arrow. But she didn't read it, obviously.
This is for maybe something that can be brought up to data. The businesses on the islands are really impressed with the Digby Neck and how many people are stopping at that little restaurant they have there. And they were hoping, because there's quite a bit of room, just maybe I could talk to them too. Actually.
Which restaurant?
The Schoolhouse restaurant.
It's our cafe.
The cafe.
It's called the Schoolhouse Cafe.
Yeah, but where? Like which?
At the school.
At the school.
And my mother, well, my mom has a business, and she just thought that would be good for the islands. I also had Penny mention it to me. Maybe having it be a little bit more information for tourists there, for people to look through, and maybe to be a way to get a student there or something like that. It just a lot of people were stopping there, and I think it was quite successful.
It's still going.
Pardon?
It's still going.
I know. I'm supposed to pick up some
I'll be volunteering some weekends as well.
Signage is good, and even an advertisement in that.
Like if they would mind, like maybe make talk to the Digby area tourist people, and I'll talk also to them. Maybe I don't know. Maybe try to set something up. I think there's more potential for that.
I know, but I don't think the dad is gonna take that on
No.
itself as promoting it. I mean, whoever was running it has gotta promote it.
Yeah, I'll check them
Signage.
out.
The Digby Debt Collective are well on the way of what they want to do.
They don't.
Yeah, they know.
All right, back to the DDA. The biggest thing out of the last meeting would have been the signage, and that's been put up. So we had to determine who we were going to hire to produce the signs. And so far, I think there's been some phone calls coming in on the land, so which is a positive thing. And so that just shows, you know, the value of those signs and the purpose of them. So you can't beat signage if you just get done talking about it. So. The Digby Harbor Port Association, Councillor Tudor.
We have a meeting on Thursday, but we did do a vote over the internet email to start with the judging. I'll have more details on Thursday.
Okay. Digby Library Committee, there's no meeting. Digby Municipal Fire Association, Deputy Warden Gregory.
At the last meeting, there wasn't a quorum. So it's been sent out, if you're not attending, you've got to let us know. We still have not finished on the insurance. We're still trying to get things back in. Our next meeting that we're trying for is in October, and like I said, we were still waiting to hear from some of the fire departments. They haven't got back to you, Linda, have they?
They weren't to get back to me. They were supposed to get, I think from the association, they were supposed to let the broker know.
I thought they were talking with you as well, the way it was spoken to me.
I've been
You've
talking
been
to the Weymouth regarding, because the Weymouth Village and the Westport Village each had to produce special letters because of they were the ones that had the insurance, so I think those have gone.
Okay.
They should have them by now.
And did the town?
The town has opted out. But indications are that that's not going to impact the rest of the fire department.
Okay. And so,
There really is two fire services in this county.
well, I'm sorry, I think everybody's trying to work together as best they
I hope
can.
so. I really hope so.
I
Sometimes I
have
wonder.
been super pleased with what I have seen. Yes, there wasn't a quorum the other night, so things can happen. I've end up without a quorum, so, to me, that was just one of those things, that we've just gotta make sure that we know that we're gonna have a quorum, but for me, the fire departments work together. They are, I mean, when, Brighton Barton wasn't able to do fire calls, Digby was there, standing up. You know, I'm sorry, but I have to take my hat off, and I'm going down on the island in October to a fire department, and I know there's other firemen coming from other fire departments from the island. So again, that shows me they're working together.
I'm just really worried about public safety because we do have a duty of care, and that will extend to us up here.
Yeah, but I think
People
it's
we're getting older. There's less people all the time. It's getting harder to get volunteers. You know, all the gentlemen down in my area, the guys that used to pull the lines, they're now in their 70s. There's a lot of stuff to worry about.
Oh, we all know that we're all getting older.
Yeah.
That's in everything. That's not just in firefighting.
Yeah, but if
everything.
we're getting old for the volunteer for the library committee, it's a little different than getting old, people becoming too old to, you know, provide basic safety services.
Anyway, I think at a future coastline, we need to push this again because I've talked to a couple of different chiefs.
Everyone needs volunteers.
They need volunteers. They need younger volunteers because, like what David just said too, is true. The ones that are there are getting older, and it's getting harder to get you got to put out enough people so it's safe for everybody.
Yep.
And I know they all rely on the mutual aid program, and I'm glad that's in place. But I think we could try to push it a little harder out in the community and try to see what we can do to try to emphasize to the public, you know, the need to volunteer for the fire department.
Like some of them got 4 people on, like, take the example of Tiverton. They got 20 volunteers, but no building. So they don't have the ability to fundraise. You'll have, like, even those sorts of things, it just compounds and compounds and compounds. Some of them have adequate infrastructure, they're able to fundraise. And the ones that don't, I see the ones falling behind further and further and further.
Well, Tiverton's been telling me that they've been doing well with their bingos and things.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last.
They're doing well with their bingos.
Yeah, okay, they have,
So
they
they
don't stop trying, but they do have no legal building.
I know, but all I'm saying is they are fundraising, they are working towards the community.
Well, they do try a lot, and they also get a lot of support from the village, and the people are showing up, but like I said, the infrastructure, and then you get other places that have like infrastructure, but they got 4 volunteers, also making it very difficult for anyone to join.
Anyway, they're all having issues. It doesn't matter if it's a big one or a small one. They're all having those
I
issues.
can tell you, there's no one I have greater respect for than our fire department. Every one of them. Every one.
You know, it matters life and death. We have a responsibility for duty of care. And when things are getting that low in different spots, we should be at least coming up with a plan.
No, we should not be coming up with a plan. We work with the fire department to come up with a plan.
What if they
We
don't?
work together.
What if they don't build a thing? What if they do get stuck with 4 people and 3 people and 2?
But I think if we work together, you don't dictate to anyone.
I said we. How does that?
No,
Anyway, like,
I just don't want us thinking. Just
if the conversation ever comes up, we'll be
together.
sitting down jointly with them and discussing the issues.
And we're just falling apart.
So, okay, we're moving on to the Highway 101 Task Force. Deputy Warden Gregory and Councilor Ross.
Oh, we have an upcoming meeting coming up. The farm around the water courses, they have started on.
They started working down there for the bridge.
Yeah.
They've got the
Well,
contract awarded for that to Dexter's.
Yeah, we got to sign up about cement, and we got to sign up about trucks turning.
King's Transit Authority, Deputy Warden Gregory.
At the meeting the other day, I told you our concerns. Of course, we are looking at numbers always on King's Transit. Otherwise, there is an upcoming meeting this coming week that I will not be there for. Our last meeting went very well, and I've already talked to Mr. Foster. He's going to keep me updated with what happens so that I can bring back the concept. We also wanted to say thank you, Jeff. You really appreciated your email today.
Okay. Councilor Ross and Tudor, open spaces.
Open space meeting, we organized and had the open house at the DNR site, as we talked about. It went very well. There was 75 people show up, and it was a nice day. We had a good afternoon. Basically, we revised Tri-County Regional School Board. It was handed over to Bartlett School, shifted it over to the municipality, and Jonathan has been working with the abandoned rail line file on the construction side. And thanks, Jeff and Jonathan, for Saturday. It was a good talk.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions?
Are they available every Saturday?
Muffins and apples, come on, man.
Yeah,
They're good, yes.
The next is the Senior Safety Committee meeting. We met last week. Basically, the business arising, we're doing a review of our bylaws. It's going to be done and have that all done by December. We talked about, it's been an ongoing discussion, but they're going to get some decals put on the new car. Just small ones, but just a small one for the municipality, one for the town, one for the Health Foundation. And maybe on the side of the door it'll say like Big Bean Area Senior Safety Society. But we don't want it to look like the last car did. Because the last car
83 stickers?
Oh, it looked pretty bad. It had too many stickers on it. So, anyway, we want to do it in a tasteful manner. We talked about the provincial funding direction, and I had talked to the deputy minister last week about this, and the province is working towards coming up with a multi-year funding program, so that we won't have to apply every year, and that'll be great. It'll be, anything from 3 to 5 years, and then you still have to do an annual report, and there'll be a reporting mechanism back to the province, but there's nothing wrong with that. We didn't have a financial report because Matthew wasn't able to attend the meeting. Our next meeting is December the 13th. But just quickly, I want to go through Dawn's coordinator's report. She said that she was a part of an organizing committee who brought Tifa Snow, a dementia expert from South Carolina, for a 2-day workshop in Yarmouth. 238 first-line workers and caregivers were in attendance, and the reviews were more than positive. She's an incredible presenter, and anyone who sees her learns more about dementia. We share her videos with our caregivers regularly. She's been also working in Bear River with a seniors group at the Bear River Community Health Clinic as a partner. They've had a self-defense class, healthy eating, and also went on a bus trip to the South Shore. She said this group's been a lot of fun, and we laugh a lot. Transport declares bus is who they use for that, so that was good. She was pleased to have been invited with members of the foundation to meet with representatives from the Nova Scotia Health Authority. I feel it was a productive meeting and was pleased to give some perspective on how our area misses out because of the wait for doctor referrals and home care assistance. She says that we continue to have our caregiver supports meetings each month. We are meeting new people, and they are sharing tearful stories of grief and loss. Many are seniors caring for their spouses or working adult children caring for sick parents. I feel very strongly about the need for this group. It's an opportunity to learn about some caregiver benefits and to lean on one another. One of the big things, too, that Dawn's talked about, and I think it's probably no surprise to anybody in this room, but one of the big problems they face is dealing with mental health issues. And it seems like it's not getting any better. But anyway, I think she does a great job with that program, and we're lucky to have her. Next thing is the Shared Services Committee. There hasn't been a meeting. I'd like to see one before the next month. It'd be nice to have one. We haven't had one for a while. The next is the Southwest Biosphere Society, Deputy Warden Gregory.
I've just been trying to keep everyone updated on everything that has happened. We have been accepted still as a biosphere reserve from Europe, which we were very pleased over. The only other thing is that I will tell you the chair never stops working on this. They're doing a great job. We're looking at trying to get a paid assistant because we need help on things. But otherwise, it's going very well.
There was an article a couple of weeks ago about the biosphere, the mapping part that they were doing. That they didn't get into all the biosphere, but about the mapping.
Yeah.
Saturday or Monday's paper. Whole page article.
We had the article, and yeah, it was, we were happy with it. That should have gone out before, but things were busy, I guess. I mean, they had it, not that we didn't.
Okay. Next one is Transport Declare, Councilor Manager.
We hadn't had a meeting for a couple of months because of availability of personnel, but we did have one 2 weeks ago and finished it up last week, so it was kind of an accumulation of a few months' work. They're looking at buying 2 new buses, and a grant for one will pay most or maybe 70 or 80% of it, and then the other one they might have to go with a smaller vehicle. But business is is booming, and most of the buses are being used 3 or 4 days a week during the summer. Like they're all having.
Share program is going well.
Yeah, and they're it's kind of at that point now. We got to decide which are we going to go out looking for more business. But if you do that, then you got to have more vehicles. So if you get more vehicles, then you've got to have some way to pay for those vehicles. So it's a tricky situation. But you're going to just stay the same, or because the director there, she's all gung ho to go out and get business, right? She wants looking for areas where she can get the transport in. But if she keeps looking for more business, then you're going to have more customers. Which is a good problem to have, I guess. They've got three full-time employees there now at the office. So things are
Any questions? Thank you. Tightly Terrace, Councilor Mann.
They haven't had a meet, August, they didn't have a meeting, they have a meeting
This week?
Wednesday.
Upper Clements Park Society, Councilor
The summer was good, however, attendance was low. We think for the following reasons, many Canada 150 events were being held in the area. Mostly were free. And we had 5 summer Saturdays that were rained out. Our big days for the cookout. Bad. We all know that because we all watch like every weekend. But the park still made money and happy going into the winter months. I mean, make a lot of money, but the big challenges is the food services. Jillian Kelly got her feet wet this summer. Did an excellent job, I thought, keeping the food costs low. A little waste at the end of the season. That was a big thing at the end of last season. They had a lot of stuff, a lot of waste. We didn't have that this year. But the issue is still the food vendors. What types of food attract the crowd, and how many vendors do you really need? That kind of thing. To make some more money at the food part. But those issues will be discussed this winter, and we're looking forward to another great season next year.
One complaint I heard was the service was very, very slow.
Yeah.
That people told me that was what they were so unhappy with.
Problem with that was it's an employee thing. People that get in there, people that come in and work 3 or 4 months, it's hard to get them trained and get them. Like, you get a lot of people who just Saturday and Sunday, we don't want to come into work, and that's where we're looking into how we can remodel a little bit and have some more incentive. There were some issues with some, a lot of them were fighting over tips and stuff, and we've been throwing around maybe have a tip jar, but it's at the end of the year it's an incentive to you split it up for.
It'll get worse for it because I work as a waitress, and if I work really well and I make my tips, I don't want to share them with you that's sitting on your butt.
Or the 20% that goes to the cooks.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go crazy over that. I remember people hiding money and everything to try to get that.
You get your arms sold over there.
My understanding too is they had a hard time finding good people to work.
You got to find good people that want to work.
But when I read the package, it also identified some other shortcomings, and that is that they have food service in different places, and they maybe need to concentrate it in one area. Because you don't want to go there for a pizza for Johnny and go over there for a burger for Sam.
Yeah. We had one place that was phenomenal, made a lot of money, but they were a good team. But you went to this other place and they just couldn't work together, and they just so it's a lot of.
So they know they've identified the issues. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And how did it go for going back to paying for them again?
You get back into what?
Getting into the park.
You didn't charge.
Oh, I thought it was a charge again.
No, free to get in.
It's free to get in.
Yeah, you pay to go on the ride, but if you want to walk around the park and have supper, no mind.
Any other questions? Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Next is waste check. Deputy Warden Gregory and Councilor Manzer.
We have not had a meeting since our July meeting.
We're going to have an executive meeting, and our chair was unable to come to the meeting because of illness. So we are waiting. Our next meeting is October 16th. There is a conference this week in Montreal that our regional manager and Amy will be attending. They're the only two attending. I told them I couldn't cut myself in half and go in two places. Otherwise, things have been going along quite well. Our bylaw officer is being kept very, very, very busy. And going around and talking and getting people to recycle is ongoing as well with Amy and the other staff. So they are hearing that the round carts are doing well. That isn't
The mice not to the corners? I gotta ask.
They're gonna have big mouths to get on those corners.
I don't know.
Around it.
Like I said, they said it wouldn't because they're around it. But I hear some concern from the contractor that he's wondering what they will be like this winter.
We don't. I have to wait and see.
That's right. But otherwise, things are going along. The waste check connection, July and August, I hope you all read it. It was really well done.
Anything else? Okay. Western County's Regional Library had a meeting last week. From that meeting, actually we passed a lot of changes to policies. We did amendments to the performance appraisal policy, attendance management policy, volunteer policy, social media acceptable use policy, illness policy, fees and fines for lost, damaged, and or overdue materials, used book sales policy, and technology loan user agreement policy. So that's basically what we spent most of our meeting talking about. Also, they've got their fundraiser coming up again this year called Dining Among the Stacks. They had it last year. And I'm hoping that I'd like to see us have one of them up here in this, like between Clare and Digby somewhere, rather than have it all down in Yarmouth. It'd be nice to have something up here. So I'm going to talk to them about that. Just to quickly summarize some of the things that have happened over the summer. In honor of the 150th anniversary of Confederation Nova Scotia's 9 regional library systems and Nova Scotia's Library Association organized Libraries 150, a province-wide project to promote reader engagement in the celebration of Nova Scotia's writers. Western Counties hosted authors including Quentin Casey, author of The Sea Was in Their Blood, Wade White, author of a children's series, Terry Dwyer, a scuba diver and shipwreck hunter who has written many books on the topic of, and Sky Curtis, a resident author. We hired a new French services manager this summer in July. She's been working to reestablish partnerships with the Francophone communities. I participated with the executive director in July in a wage reopener with representatives of CUPE Local 2530. And for professional development, our executive director, members of the management team attended an online course on program evaluation for libraries. And we've had meetings this summer with Deputy Minister Tracy Cowwheel to discuss both the application of the Innovation Fund and the review of library services, core services. A joint committee is going to be formed in the fall, and for all the public libraries in the province. I'm going to be part of that committee. This weekend, coming up, the Nova Scotia Library Association LBAN annual conference is going to be held here in Cornwallis. I think they're going to have, they got a good venue in Cornwallis at the Annapolis Basin Conference Center. So,
That's this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get into a couple of things they were already
Cool.
full.
Yeah. It's going to be a good, I think it's going to be a good conference. And we've got well-rounded slate of different topics so that it'll touch on a lot of different things and interests of people. So one of the things too is like on the new Accessibility Act that's coming out, talk about how that impacts libraries. So, any questions? No, we'll move on. Western Regional Enterprise Network Liaison and Oversight Committee, there's been no meeting. Weymouth Doctors Recruiting Committee, Deputy Warden Gregory, Councilor Manzer. Sorry.
While you were gone, I attended the conference for the Wren in the deck,
Oh,
where we all met and heard what all the Wrens were doing from around Nova Scotia. It was really interesting. I think we were doing the best. Even George was teasing me because I said, well, we already know. I don't know why the rest of you are going to report. And, but all were different but interesting. And I will send out some notes on that. I tell you it was a good conference.
How many went from our Western one?
I went from the advisor, well, I was the alternate, and then we had all the staff,
Yeah.
I think, was all there. There was Victoria, there was Gino, there was the director, there was Ethan, there was two more. So there was 7 of them and me, made 8. And I was thinking there was someone else that came from the committee too, but I can't remember who it was. And you saw that all over you. There was a lot of municipal councillors there.
any of the directors of the board go?
That's what I said. I think there was a couple of board members there. I'm just not up on who's who and not sure.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, the Weymouth Doctor recruiting, we had a meeting last October, then we had another one in June. What we're waiting on to have a meeting is to hear what we can do for having a lone doctor practice in Weymouth. But until we get the go-ahead, it's not the time of the meeting yet.
Any questions? Okay, we're going to now move to council district reports. I'll start with Councilor Tudor.
Through. Okay, we had the benefit for the deputy fire chief up in Tiverton. It was well attended. Very happy about that. Your friend and mine, Eldred Geyer. Also been giving out housing grants, and I've been talking to people with large, expensive to heat old houses for the pace. And so I've been passing them out, and if someone's not interested, if they're not, I'll just take it to the next person. Because there's plenty of very large buildings to be built. And also my own little edge, you people who do incomes, try to save them a few bucks. I got complaints about 4 people speeding. It was sort of an unusual weekend, and I went and complained to 2 of them. And I have 2 more to see. I was asked by the elderly folks of Freeport, so you can't say no. Nova Scotia Power had a little meeting down the island, discussed, Linda was kind enough to attend it. Like 30 people showed up to find out about the power being out for 4 hours twice in a year and a half. It was it's a social thing.
Yeah, but it was really interesting.
It was interesting. I like that they're flying the waters.
There was a lot of questions.
Yeah, there was an amazing amount of questions, I thought. Freeport Village Commission invited me to come to their meeting, and we thought up about 4 or 5 things to work together on, and I went and found answers for them today. There's a poverty group that invited me up. We're sort of, this isn't with council, but it's peripherally related. We want we're going to put together connecting people with programs. We all have our favorite programs that we try to hook up people in desperate situations with that we find useful, but they change a lot, and we don't even always know, even though all of us involved, you'd think we'd all know them, but no. Each of us have different ones that we use. And also, for a bigger picture thing, we want to lobby the province for how the Nova Scotia Pharmacare program works. It's entirely front-end loaded. It's a real obstacle to those who would need it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The people who are most desperate for it, say I had a $10,000 copay, I have to pay the whole $10,000 on the front end and then get the rest. That's not how people in great poverty work. It's just not how it works. The SAC, I'm now chairman for the SAC. We're trying to get back into, we're trying to go through the hoops to get our school to be a community school, and all the things that that entails. So I'm happy to be on that. And health authority came down, and it was characterized by complete lack of organization, fly by the seat of your pants. I even phoned them and told them about passages and get the information in. You got a week. Of course, they never made the deadline. I ended up phoning the MLA, and he was able to give me some information that I was able to put up on a couple signs around the community. The health authority wanted a meeting. They arranged it through Freeport Village the next day at 11 o'clock. So they tried to make it so everyone was working, and it was such short notice, there was no way that there's few people there. People were angry. It's been many, many weeks. They haven't even advertised it internally. Also, the community was lied to about a few different things, which was kind of, it was very shocking to us. We didn't like it. And also, for an organization that claims that they're trying to increase, that says their only problem is that they're not talking to people enough, they can't even bother to get a friggin', a short note saying what's going to happen with the nurse practitioner. They can't even get it together enough to make a deadline that people will phone you and said how important it is. And they have an opportunity. I said what my view is on the health authority and how trustworthy they are, and other people have the same view, similar views. I'd like to believe in some magical land that they would be ashamed and go, you know what, maybe we could make a minimal effort and try to improve our reputation. But you don't have to, because they're an arm's length corporation. I'm surprised they lowered themselves to meet the minister. Sorry, that's that for that. I love everybody. I am a positive person. I just want to say that. I was really nice there.
I guess you were.
Yeah.
Hey, Councilor Manager.
I didn't do a lot of outside traveling, but I did my regular committee meetings and stuff, and also did an Outlook training, and I must have a little learning disability, because by the time I got home, I could only remember half of it.
I know all about it.
I was also talking to Roger LeDrew, the project manager for the water bottling plant in Weymouth North last night, and he said they've got probably 90% of their machinery in there, and they have one guy that's been working there for them for 2 years. It's a slow process, but it's still going.
Right on.
That's good.
In no timelines. They won't give you any timelines, because then they're kind of, that gets out in the public, and they have to try and meet them. So, but they're still going.
That's good. Councilor Ross.
It's been a good summer.
Are you sure?
I was in the dunk tank at the Scallop Days. Everybody enjoyed that. And I've been to my regular meetings and stuff, and I've talked to people via Facebook, email, social media, all that stuff. People calling me and dealing with that stuff, and that's been about it. We did the open house at the DNR site, and ready for the fall sessions.
Right on.
Back in July, I attended Celebration, and that made money for both the Digby Museum and the Historic Museum of Smith Cove. The rumor is they'll each receive about $15,000 each, but that is a rumor. It has not been confirmed. But it was very well done. I did see the Premier with our chair about the Biosphere Reserve and discussed our concerns. I also, Scallop Days, I emceed for the Scallop Jockey, and then I attended the opening and the closing, and in between I volunteered for Scallop Days. I also attended the founders picnic and spoke a few words. I was down for the tall ships, and that was really, really busy. I attended, of course, the UNSM meetings that we had. I also attended a tea at the Sequel Clients Hall, which was a fundraiser for their hall. I also stopped up for the Digby County exhibition, and I went to a strawberry shortcake social, which was fundraising for the Acaciaville Hall for new chairs. I attended the municipal poker rally, which I think was fixed.
Always are, man.
Because I did not win, and I felt I should have. I also attended the Beagonet Collective held a picnic in Lake Midway, which I attended. I also...
Good turnout for that, sorry.
Oh my God, it was fantastic.
I heard.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Mr. Albright did the cooking.
Which Mr. Albright? Donnie?
Bean. Bean.
Bean Albright?
Yeah.
To the Digby Neck. Oh my God.
Yeah, really nice.
We did the cooking at our Sunday church thing just the other day.
Oh, okay. I attended the Wharf Rally again, and then I also volunteered for them. I attended LDK's 90th birthday, which I thought was lots of fun. I also attended the closing of the Cornwallis Museum and spoke a few words there on behalf of the municipality. We waited, but you didn't come, so.
Probably was, was either in China.
It could have been, but they had thought you had said you were coming. And I said,
I did.
Oh, okay, well, they must have misunderstood. I attended also, that was the Mulberry Museum. I attended Fireman's Day, which was fun. I enjoyed the Ren conference. We've been working on the UNSM marketing study, and I'm on that committee. We also had a solid-based thank you, which I attended. I attended the Fisherman's Memorial Service, which was fantastic. That was 13 years. And I sometimes think people forget that it was the municipality that has the statue. But it's us that put that there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. That was our contribution from the municipality for that part. But I just think it's somehow gotten forgotten, that's all. I also attended some funerals, which I really didn't want to attend, but you have to because they're friends of family. I had a meeting with concerns on some concerns with those mink ranches. And I explained to them why there was no regulations in the municipality. Besides that, I want to say that upcoming, I attended the Outlook training, and I remember it 0, so you did better than me.
We had Outlook training. Did I even show up? I don't know. I might have.
No, it was George and I. Clean Nova Scotia is coming in to work with, and her name is Sonia Smith, who is coming in to work with the Small Craft Harbor manager Denise Sullivan. They're going to be doing a cleanup in Centerville 9:30 on September 27th, in Little River between 12:30 and 1.
Good.
Okay?
Lord, yucky.
So, and the only other thing I did, I went to our regional meeting in middle school. Besides that, it's just been fun.
Right on.
I'm just going to be brief. I attended a mayor's and wardens workshop in August in Halifax, and it was a good session. It was there was a lot of new people in there. brand new elected people that are either mayor or warden in Nova Scotia. So it was interesting. It was a good turnout for it. The discussion points was leadership role of mayors and wardens. They talked about code of conduct, in-camera sessions.
Contact, did you say?
Code of conduct.
Okay.
And, you know, why or how you can go in camera and all that.
Yeah.
One of the things that Betty McDonald spoke about was what's coming down the pipe for the UNSM to the province. So, one of the things she talked about with UNSM, the rebranding that they're doing. Talked about the federal government's budget. Statement of, right now, a third of the stipend is tax-free. Come 2019, I think that's going to be gone from the Fed. So,
They're asking municipalities to look at what they think they might want to do because of the tax impact.
Accessibility Act, they talked about that, and it's likely to be proclaimed this fall with 1 year's action plan. There will be a template coming from UNSM coming out. And so that's kind of, in a sense, we did this with the library last year already. We looked at all the branches to see what the accessibility was based on what we heard about the Accessibility Act at that time. So we're kind of trying to get ahead of it a little bit. Also, there's a fire services study that was released at the end of July. UNSM is going to be looking at forming a committee to see how they can move forward with that. And he also mentioned the fact that there was a solid waste study. And it costs Nova Scotians $120 million a year just to handle our waste. So, anyways, that was the gist of that. Other than that, I did take that trip to Norway, which I thought was very interesting. I think that done the right way, the agriculture industry can be done properly if you have the right people doing it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's got a lot of potential for rural Nova Scotia. Like I said, if you have the right players at the table and they're doing the job right,
Yeah, you can trust them with the whole world.
The province is going to be playing a regulatory role. They've spent 2 years coming out with new regulations, and they're some of the most stringent in the world.
Excellent, super.
So,
Yeah.
and then the trip to China, I don't want to go into that because I do want to do a presentation on that later on. Other than that, I also attended the Wharf Rat Rally, the opening ceremonies, the closing ceremonies, and I volunteered a couple shifts to help out as well. So summer flew by fast. There's no in camera, so I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
I won't second it. Nay.
Seconded.
You have the right to.
I know, you know, you
You can't debate it, but you have the right to go vote against it. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Turn off your mic.
Bruce, you can go home, Bruce.